Innovate Montana.
Hey, Innovate Montana.
I'm here today with my good friend Christeen Walch. Hey, Chris.
Hey, Rob. How are you?
I am awesome. We're in beautiful backyard Montana.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's fall.
Yeah. Yeah. So we've known each other almost 4 years now, huh?
Yeah, 4 years.
Yep. We met up in Big Sky at an entrepreneurial event. It's kind of fitting that we're doing this today together.
Yes.
Since then, you've gone on an amazing journey. You've become the COO of this music startup called Lifescore. You got a co-founding team that's beyond compare. You got our good friend Philip Shepard, who's an award-winning cellist and music composer, movie soundtracks, game soundtracks.
He does it all. He's a Renaissance man.
Yeah, for sure. And Tom Gruber, the inventor of Siri, and Ian Drew from ARM, the maker of processors that are in every mobile device in the world. Yeah, dream team.
We are a diverse dream team.
Yeah. Before that, you were at Latham & Watkins.
I was,
the law firm, which, if you don't know, it's one of the biggest in the world, like a job that anyone would give a limb to have. And before that, you had this educational track. I had to make a cheat card because there's so much on it. You got a BA in Economics and Computer Science at New York University, a Master's in Science and Technology Commercialization from UT Austin McComb School of Business, and a JD from St. John's University School of Law. Holy cow.
Yeah.
Any one of those would be impressive.
I love school.
Apparently so. Apparently so. So you did all that. You got this dream job at this big law firm, working on these huge deals, and then all of a sudden you're running a startup. Wow. Tell me a little about that.
Yeah, it's a crazy journey. It sort of foundationally lies in something I truly value in my life, and what I was looking for was what I value. So to sort of back up the story a little bit, I kind of have to start with I love the mountains. Like, that's where my heart lies. It's in my blood, frankly. My dad's from Austria.
Mountains there.
The mountains. And he is the 15th kid.
Yeah, we talked about that. Wow.
I'm only the second.
Right.
Thank God. But yeah, so I grew up in Hawaii. So I've kind of always been chasing the mountains.
Love the ocean.
I hate the ocean. You love the ocean.
Yeah, I do.
I hate the ocean. The creatures scare me.
Oh, okay.
I can't see that.
I can see
Scary.
that. Yep.
But I had this great life growing up in Hawaii. I had a really strong support structure with my parents and counselors and folks that wanted me to succeed in the framework of what success is measured in today's world.
How society thinks of it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, they put me on tracks to do great in school and to have a great career, and I really put my head to the grindstone and listen to them, and I felt really rewarded also personally when I would achieve these superimposed mile markers of success.
Right.
It feels gratifying to do that for people that believe in you.
Right.
And so I kind of just had my head blinders on. That took me to a great job at Latham & Watkins. I mean, I'm super happy to have been able to start my career there. It was a great place. I learned so much. I learned how to work so hard, incredibly hard. I learned about grit and getting through things even when you don't want to, but you got to because people are relying on you.
Yeah, tight timelines, big money.
Big money.
Yeah,
lots of creativity you have to employ. I mean, things fall apart in multi-billion-dollar deals, and it takes a lot to work with a team, cross-border, cross-culture, and we're getting billed out at 800 to 1,000 plus an hour.
Whoa.
So so you got to really be creative about how you use that time because clients are relying on you to close the deal, but also make it very efficient.
Right.
So I learned a lot working there. I was there for about 6 years. So fast forward about my 6th year at the firm, and it's great. I was doing really good at what I did. I had a great support network of mentors and colleagues and friends who really did want me to succeed and take it to the next level. And so I think when I decided that I wanted to make this huge career pivot in my life, it came as a real surprise.
Right, because they put you on the track.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
And they're you're doing great.
Yeah.
Why do you want to get off the track?
Why would you give up this dream?
Yeah, so it surprised a lot of people at the firm, and it also disappointed a lot of people. that had invested time and money
Yeah.
and all these things into creating like this version
Yeah.
of me.
Right.
Right? They had
Right.
like a vision, and that's what I was going
Right.
to become, and I was there.
Right. But
So-
that's their dream, not your dream.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it was disappointing
Yeah.
for a lot of people, and to make that decision, it didn't come on quickly. You know, I think sometimes it seems like people just make these jumps. For me, it took a really long time to come to terms with,
Yep.
to plan and
Yep.
manifest.
Yep.
It took me like about 2 years to get there, to get to that mindset and realize like I need to move on. And what really sort of cemented it for me about wanting to move on was if you and I were to meet somewhere and you asked me about myself, the first thing I would say is, my name's Chris and I'm an attorney at Latham.
So that's your identity.
My
I always
entire
think
identity.
that as a guy thing, but it's not just a guy
It's
thing,
not
right?
just a guy
like
thing.
wrapping your whole identity around your work.
Yeah, it's not just a guy thing. And that's what, and at that moment I realized like I wanted an identity bigger than my career. I wanted a life
Yeah.
bigger
Yeah.
than my career.
Yeah.
You
The
know?
thing that's in your heart.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think what was so hard was because up until that point, like you'd been on these tracks, people were kind of, you know, giving you direction on where to go and what to do.
Yeah.
I didn't really have a chance to like look outside of that. I didn't
Yeah.
know what else I could be or would want to be
Yeah.
beyond the walls I was within. And so it was really discouraging when someone would ask me, well, okay, well, what is this bigger life you want?
Right.
I had no answer
Right.
because I
Right.
didn't know.
Right. Because
You know?
all you know, it's intoxicating. Like you're working on this big stuff, you're making good money,
Yeah.
and you're just like myopically focused on those two things.
Exactly.
But you have this unsettling feeling inside you.
Yeah, exactly. And I didn't know like what I could do, what I would do, like
Yeah.
what I was capable of
Yeah.
if I had chosen a life or determined a life where the consequences were of my own making, you know? And so
Good or bad.
good or bad,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So at that point, I kind of was like, well, what do you do? What do you do? I asked myself, like, what do I do? I didn't like look at markets and determine what's the best career path to go on.
Right.
You know, I knew kind of two things that I sort of held on to, like value-wise. I was like, well, these are the two most important things in my heart, and if I don't follow these things, and I just go to another career, like I might as well just stay at Latham. Like
Right.
I bought it good,
Right.
you know.
Right.
So I knew two things. I wanted to live in the mountains, and I wanted to ski as much as I wanted to. And the other thing was, I wanted like a life of my own making. I wanted a life of my own making, whatever those consequences might be.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. Not something somebody else decided for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think with those two things, I set out to find out like what is this other life.
Right.
I needed to open my mind up. I needed to like take those horse blinders off and like look peripherally left and right.
Right. So
And
you quit,
So I quit.
and
So I quit. That was tough.
yeah. Yeah.
Thankfully, I saved some money, and my boyfriend and I, we bought a trailer. We brought our dog, and we traveled to every ski town that we thought we wanted to live in on the west coast of America. We went through Canada. We went through Alaska for a month. It was incredible.
Wow.
It was like super mind-blowing. It was really cool. It sounds really cool, right?
Yeah. 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 There's another side to that too, though.
There's always another side.
Yeah.
While it sounds super romantic and idyllic to just have this life on the road with no work,
Right.
no nothing,
responsibilities.
you've got some money in the bank to do
Yeah.
with it. It also leaves a lot of time,
Yeah.
a lot of time to think about the repercussions and the ripples of the choices I made.
Yeah.
And so there were a lot of pros and cons with it. And on the con side, I dealt with not having an identity anymore. Like not having people need you.
Right.
It's so weird.
Right. No email, no phone
email,
calls.
no nothing. Like
Yeah.
I have nothing of value to offer. No
Yeah.
one needed me for anything.
Yeah. Which is so ironic given your educational and work experience. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's what's in your head.
But I had
right?
no purpose at that point, like
Yeah.
for the world around
Yeah.
me, you
Yeah.
know? The other thing that was tough for me was not having like a paycheck constantly, like watching my
Yeah.
bank account just deplete as every day went on. And that gave me anxiety. It made me feel like I need to make a decision right now.
Right.
And like when you make decisions like without being
doesn't go
thoughtful,
well.
it doesn't go well. Yeah. And then the last one, which I kind of touched on earlier, that was really hard for me was there were a ton of people that were really disappointed. And those were the people closest to me that I'd grown up with, you know, like my family. And to go out and make your own track and have them not believe that you are capable of that,
Yeah.
that's really hard.
Yeah.
So now it's just me standing on my own 2 feet with no one kind of bolstering me,
Right.
which was a first for me, frankly.
Right.
So that
Right.
was really, really hard.
Yep.
And I think like having all these cons, I had to sort of keep coming back to that reason. Like, why did I do this? Like, why did I quit that whole life that I
Seemed
spent?
like a good idea at the time.
Yeah, I spent like 30 plus years like putting that life together. Like, what was I thinking?
Yeah.
And so I kind of went back to the two things. Like, I wanted a life I wanted a fresh slate. I wanted to think like nothing was impossible.
Yep.
And I wanted a life where I was the author, you know?
Yep.
So I was like, okay, these are the two things I'm going to hold on to.
Yep.
How do I do this? How do I create a life where I'm the own author? So to kind of do that, I just let myself be completely curious about anything that was remotely interesting. Like, if it was interesting, I just was like, all right, allow yourself for that time. Allow yourself that. Because I was so entrenched, like physically, mentally, emotionally, in the firm, in folks telling me like what career to do, what direction to go on, and like just constantly giving me input.
Structure.
All
the structure.
Exactly. Like, I don't know if you've ever done this, but like I have never in the entirety of my life allowed myself like the mind space to just think for myself about what I would do with a life for me without agenda or expectation.
No boundaries.
No boundaries.
Yeah.
And so that was the first time. And it's scary, frankly, because you're like, oh God.
Right.
What do I do?
Right.
The possibilities are endless. How do you pick one out of all these things?
Yeah.
And so I found that I was really curious about all the people I would meet on the road. I mean, I would take photographs with them. I would listen to their stories. I really love like all these like local artisanal shops, whether it's a cafe or a restaurant or an art shop. And there were all these entrepreneurs like all over the country in like places you would never expect.
Right.
Like you're like, what? How is this here?
Right.
You know, but they created their own little space in the universe for them that made them happy.
They wrote their story.
Yeah, it doesn't. You didn't have to like live in New York or LA. Like it was right there. And it's beautiful and it was theirs. And so I became completely obsessed with their entrepreneurial journey. Like, okay, how did you do this? Like, how did you take your idea and create something from nothing? And you breathed life into just a whisper. You know what I mean? And it was tangible and it was theirs and they owned it.
Yep.
And so I just was realizing in myself, I was like, I want to create something. Like, I want to build something. I don't want to just be on someone else's boat. You know what I mean? I want to captain my own boat. Even though I hate the ocean.
Right. It's a great analogy for you. Build my boat and go sailing.
On land.
It's actually good because like I'm going where it terrifies me.
Yeah.
Which is what you were doing.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. So I felt that was good. That was like step one. You know you want to create something.
Right.
So I was proud of myself.
Right.
But then I was like, but now what?
Right. What's like, the thing?
Now what? Yeah. So, at this point, like we've been about 6 months on the road. We chose to move here to Bozeman. Yeah. We love it. It's super entrepreneurial. Yeah. Great call. Glad to meet you. Yeah. And we loved it here. But at the same time, I still had no job.
Right.
So that was funny. I was like, this is so like naive now that I think about it. I really believed like those Instagram influencers that were like, nature will speak to you and whisper to you your life's calling and purpose. So I was really disheartened
the universe
by the marketing of that whole thing, that it didn't happen. Yeah. So, I was like, okay, well, now what? And so I kind of went back. I was like, well, you love skiing. That's what you moved here for. So I started teaching skiing again, which was amazing. I love that. But at the same time, I was like, you need a plan here, kid. Like, what are you going to do? I didn't. Unlike the rest of my life, which was very structured, my plan was super simple. I said, okay, you realize you want to be a creative, you want to be an entrepreneur, you want to create something. Well, you need to be around people that do that. You need to be around people that are doing the life you want. So I just found like any opportunity I could, whatever it was. So I volunteered at TEDx Bozeman. I volunteered at a bunch of events. I met you at an entrepreneurial event. So that's where we met, and I met also Philip Shepard there, our co-founder. You know, he is just bleeds creativity. You know, he wakes up and like sweats creativity out of his pores. And he just gave this talk there, and it was so interesting. And I was like, I really enjoy his energy and like exactly what he wants to do. He creates soundtracks. He's constantly creating something out of nothing, and that's what I wanted to be around, people like that. So at this point, like I have no job. I'm a volunteer carrying trash everywhere.
Right.
Like,
A little more than that, but yeah.
I'm like utterly shameless at this point, you know? Utterly shameless, and I heard this great saying once. It's the gift of desperation.
Right.
And I was just showered, fully blessed with desperation.
Immersed in desperation.
Immersed in desperation. Yeah. And so I just went up to him straight up and I said, hey, I really like what you're doing. I'm so interested in like your work and what you do. Is there any way I can be involved? Whatever it may be, like I just want to be around like what you are and like your energy, and I want to be mentored by this. And so that's exactly how we met and started working together.
Sure.
And ended up working together on Lifescore.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but he saw in you what I saw in you. Like, here's
I hope so.
This awesome person, right? Yeah. That's amazing. Yeah. So, you have, when you taught my class last semester at MSU, you have this great analogy of the mountain. Can you put up that first slide? You have this great analogy of the mountain. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. Well, you know this mountain.
Yep.
This is, if those of you in Montana probably know it. It's Lone Peak. It stands at about 11,160.
About. Not that you would know.
Not that I would know. At its highest peak, you can take the tram up to the very top, and gorgeous views, as you know.
Yes.
You know, and you can see on this photo, there's two areas. There's two bowls on both sides of this picture. On this side, it's our powder seeker area. It's got a chairlift. It takes you directly to this amazing bowl. There's a lot of ski lines in it. You can see where the safety is. You can see where people have gone before. You know where to go. It's a well-marked, well-traveled, very clear path.
Safe.
Yeah. Safe, but fun. Still fun. Yeah. And then you have this other bowl over here. You can see it's like pristine. Yeah. No one skied it yet.
Right.
It's beautiful.
Might be a reason.
It's petrifying. It's untracked powder. This is like the money turns. Like, this is where like dreams come true.
Yeah.
You know, that's that shot. So, Rob, as you look at this photo, what are you thinking? Which one are you going for? And if I told you have to go there, what's your path?
Depends whether I want one of these or not. Yeah. Normally I'd ski the safe bowl.
The safe bowl. I don't believe you.
But you know, that's, okay, fair enough. But you have to make a choice, right? Mm-hmm. But a thoughtful choice.
Yeah. So, if you can throw up the next slide. Now this is a line I skied to get to this incredible bowl on this side. And this line is really, when you look at it, it's scary.
Yeah. Yeah, I do. I've
been up there. But what else do you notice about it? You notice it's not linear.
Right.
It's steep, it's scary, it's non-linear, it's not well traveled, it's unmarked.
Yep.
It's kind of a path you got to make on your own to get there.
Yeah. Anything could happen on the way.
You can't see where the dangers are. Other people haven't kind of gone down it and told you what's the way to go.
Right.
You know what I mean? But at the same time, the reward for getting here is so worth it.
Yeah.
And just...
That's it right
You got to
there.
take the risk, man.
Right.
But at the same time, like, to be totally fair, if I could never have skied that, my day one of skiing.
Right.
I would have been in a situation of, like, all the casts.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And I think in that same way, I would not have been ready to embark on this entrepreneurial journey that I went on. You know, I left the firm and all that. And I wouldn't have been able to say to Philip and my other co-founders confidently that, hey, I should be a co-founder of Lifescore and I should be its COO. Mm-hmm. If I didn't completely believe in myself, in the skill sets that I've had, like over the years that I've built upon.
Right.
You know? And I think when I took the journey, when I ski these lines, I'm taking a calculated risk.
Yep.
And I'm mitigating those risks.
Yep.
With confidence, with skill sets that you continuously build. And for me, I was building upon skill sets as a lawyer, as a coach, as a volunteer, as a ski instructor. You're putting all these different things together, and they all build upon themselves.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So I think, while that ski line looks non-linear, while me being here talking to you seems non-linear or completely random, I think that everything is constantly building on itself.
Yep.
And, luck happens, I truly believe, to people that are prepared to act on opportunities that arise.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
And to do that, to be able to be prepared, I think for me, I've always held two things to be true: to be able to build upon things, to be able to be ready for things to happen. It's whatever I'm doing, I'm committing 100%.
Yeah.
120%, regardless if I think it sucks.
Right.
After I sign up, I'm like,
Right.
I signed up for this.
Yep.
Now I got to do it.
You sign up, you show up.
You sign up, you show up.
Yep.
Exactly. And there's something to learn in everything
Yep.
you do. It might be a good lesson, it might be a bad lesson, it might be like, I hate this, or I don't want to do this way, or I think this person's a poor leader. It doesn't matter. You're learning something.
Right.
So take that opportunity to do that. And I kind of use this analogy with the girls I coach volleyball. You know, I coach the middle school volleyball team. And they get so upset unless they're winning, unless they're doing well.
Right.
And I'm like, look, if you only learn when you win, you are basically missing out on like 85% of the lessons you could learn.
Yep.
Think about how much longer it's going to take you to learn something if you're like 85% reduced.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And so for me, it's really important. And the second thing I really think about is like, how can you add value? And what does that mean to me? Like, what does it mean to add value? I don't think it means like I'm showing up with this like crazy resume, like I'm awesome, like pick me. It's more finding the gaps in the projects, finding the gaps in a company and saying, you know what, I'm going to do that. I'm going to step in and do this, and having no ego, just putting the ego aside and just doing the work where it needs to be done.
Yep.
And helping people be the best them. I think that's frankly like how you show up and add value. And if you're an entrepreneur, you're going to need to do that a lot.
Yeah, it's all adding value
It's
at the beginning.
all adding value.
Because the slate is blank.
Slate is blank. Yep. Nobody is helping you.
Yeah.
Nobody is like doing anything for you. Like everything I took for granted at a big company.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. Yeah. No, making your own coffee, getting your own printouts.
Getting your own printouts. Yeah. Jeez.
Everything
is like that. So I think those are the two things I kind of like really walk away from whenever I do anything in life.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Awesome. And so you have another thing I love about you, so many things, but another thing I love about you is this, and I find this in every great entrepreneur, you have this strong sense of giving back.
Yeah.
So you touched a little on coaching the volleyball team. You have another big passion project I had the privilege of going to its second year last winter called Women of Winter. Yep. It was held downtown in a venue where it was like a Tokyo subway car. You could barely even fit in there, and the energy in the room was so incredible.
Yeah.
So tell us a little more about that.
I'm super passionate about Women of Winter for two things. It obviously is I love skiing, I love the mountains, so that's a big passion for mine. I think there's so much you can learn in the mountains, and it's something I want to just share with everyone. And the other thing is, it's all about like learning how to carve your own paths. And Women of Winter, its mission is to inspire, to educate, to empower young girls and women to get outside, to be courageous, and to just embrace and boldly pursue their dreams in life, and to carve their own paths in the mountains and in life. And I think that's so important for me to share or like bring to the community, because it's something I wish someone told me when I was 15
Earlier
and 17. You know,
Yeah.
and really said that this is possible, and showed me women that were creating these lives that weren't told by other people. They did it themselves. Like they thought about it and they shared their story and they made it relatable and real and something like, oh, I could do that too.
Yep.
I wish I did that instead of at like 35, figuring it out on my own and starting over, you know? And so that's why it's so important to me to bring Women of Winter to the local community, to share it with the young girls, and to say like, get out there, be brave, make your own life yours, own it. Enjoy it, love it,
Right, and you have another iteration coming up this winter.
We do.
And again, you've morphed it like to take into account what's going on in the world today. So tell us about this year's.
So I think it's really important, besides just like inspiring people, like how do you empower them? How do you actually bring them to action, right? So for me, it's always been about education, as you know.
Yep, yeah, clearly.
I think when you educate someone, you give them the gift of self-confidence in themselves, in their skill set. It allows them to stand in their own truth and say like, I am valued, I am worthy, and I'm here. So it's really important for Women of Winter to do scholarship work. So last year we did 8 Avalanche 1 scholarships, because women are very underrepresented in the backcountry. More so than in resort. And this year we're focusing on an even more underrepresented group, which is BIPOC women and girls. They are the smallest representation in the outdoor sports industry. And if we want to speak to all women and girls, if we want to make the outdoors a really truly inclusive place, and to share the lessons that we believe that the mountain has and that everyone should have the opportunity and access to, then we need to focus on those that are just the most underrepresented,
marginalized.
Exactly. So we are highlighting 3 BIPOC women who love the outdoors, who have carved their own paths in the mountains and in life, and we're making them visible role models for young girls out there. We're giving out scholarships this year again for entry-level ski instructing to educate women, allow them the opportunity to join the industry.
Cool.
Yeah, we're really excited about it.
Cool. And what about, like, for the audience, like a closing thought?
I mean, I think for a closing thought, we're all capable of creating our own lives, whatever they may be, and it's just up to us to go out there and seize it and own it and enjoy the life that's yours.
Yeah. Your life is the best life.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So great. Thanks.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.